Hi everyone, welcome back to Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Today's video is all about the 2022 Goodreads Choice Awards. Have I read any of the books and do I want to? Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name's Alice and I have way too many books. But of those way too many books, have I actually read any this year that are up for the Goodreads Choice Awards? First of all, what is the Goodreads Choice Awards? The Goodreads Choice Awards, voting starts for this in November, and I thought I'd make this video today because voting has just opened. And the Goodreads Choice Award runs various different categories and genres of award, and the readers on Goodreads vote for their favourite reads of the year. Now, my history with this awards is that because I am predominantly a backlist reader, a reader who reads books that I've had on my bookshelf for 10 years, I have never really ever read any that are on this awards. So usually we get to this time of year and I think, well, I won't have read any of those, and yeah, I'm not really able to vote. So this morning I was quite excited because I thought, yes, I will have read lots of these because I've read some books from 2022. Or have I? So last year in 2021, I think I had only read one book that had actually come out in that calendar year. And this year I thought I had probably read more than I obviously had. So I had a check this morning and I've read 9 books that were published in 2022. A couple of books that I've really liked this year that I thought came out this year actually came out last year, such as Fight Night by Miriam Taves. My fond favourite, Cloud Cuckoo Land, actually came out in 2021 as well. So the books that I have read that actually came out this year, some of which I actually bought brand new in hardback. So we have The 7 Moons of Marley Almeida, which you know I read from the library recently. We have You Have a Friend in 10A, Maggie Shipstead's collection of short stories, which I bought in London over the summer as a special treat and didn't really enjoy, to be honest. We have Girl Forgotten by Karen Slaughter, which I also bought myself brand new in hardback because it was the sequel to a book that I had really enjoyed. I read Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies by Maddie Mortimer. This was also longlisted for the Booker Prize and I read that from the library as well. I read Run Rose Run, also from the library, by Dolly Parton and James Patterson. That was released this year. I read The Locked Room by Ellie Griffiths, which was the latest in Ellie Griffiths' Ruth Galloway series that I have been listening to on audiobook. I read The Colony by Audrey McGee, another longlisted for the Booker Prize. I read The Couple at the Table by Sophie Hannah, which I also bought in hardback because it was a book I was waiting eagerly for because it was the next book in the Charlie Zayler and Simon Waterhouse series, which I have loved. And finally, I've read Heartstopper Volume 4 by Alice Oseman, which came out this year. Strange selection of 9 books, and surprise, surprise, when I opened Goodreads this morning, none of these books were up for the voting apart from Heartstopper Volume 4, which I've obviously immediately voted for in the graphic novels category. So I thought today we could have a little look at what is up for voting in a few of the categories. I won't do all of the categories because there are some categories I just don't read many books from, and I'm going to make myself a little list of a little wish list, if you will, of my most wanted to read from the Goodreads prize list. Let us see. I'm going to try and make it so that what I'm seeing on my screen is going to come up here, hopefully, if I can manage that technology. Let's hope. So this opening round of voting goes on until November the 27th, and the final round of voting will be from November the 29th to December the 4th, with the winners announced on December the 8th. So the categories I am going to talk about are going to be fiction, mystery and thriller, historical fiction, science fiction, horror, debut novel, which is usually a category full of things that I do want to read, and I think I'll also mention the graphic novels and comics category, because that is the only one I've read a book from. We'll leave off the others because I am not urgently desperate to read any of the books from those categories. So let's start with fiction. I'm not going to say the name of every single book. I'm going to try and pick out the books that I definitely want to read to come up with my little Goodreads wish list. So, Night Crawling by Layla Motley is the first one that I wanted to talk about. I've already acquired the audiobook of this and I intend to listen to it when I can, because I've got a bit of a backlog of audio at the moment. But Night Crawling is definitely one that is sort of top priority to read from this category. There's 3 others that I am quite interested in this category. One is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I don't know a lot about this book, by Gabrielle Zevin. I don't know a lot about this book. I keep seeing it on Instagram and hearing a lot of praise for it. And I believe this is about some people who create a video game. So I'm vaguely interested in that one. I wouldn't say it was one of my absolute top priorities, but if you've read it and you think it's great, let me know in the comments down below, and please do that with any book that I mention. Also very interested in Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. I haven't read anything by Barbara Kingsolver myself, but some of my friends have recently read The Poisonwood Bible, and I've heard that this one is like a retelling of David Copperfield, so my interest has been piqued, and this is a book I definitely would like to get to. Will I probably get to it in the next year? I'm not sure, because it's quite a big book and I have a lot of big books to read. And the other one that I am quite interested in and have written down the name of before is Truebiz by Sarah Novick. I don't know which channel I got the name of this book from, but at some point somebody has made me want to read this book. And I believe it's a book set in a school for the deaf. It's an Own Voices account, and the reason I'm super interested in this topic is because I do have a nephew who is deaf. This is a book that's kind of already on my radar. Although you may have seen lots of epic books coming up the side there, those are the only 3 I'm really quite interested in from that category. It might have been 4. Let's look at the mystery and thriller category. The books I'm interested in this category are Richard Osman's The Bullet That Missed. I am behind with this. I think it's a trilogy now. I'm behind with it. I haven't yet read The Man Who Died Twice, which is the second book, but I did quite enjoy I think it's the Thursday Murder Club. It's full of interesting older protagonists. Really enjoyed it. I know my mum has got a copy of The Man Who Died Twice that she found in a charity shop that she has been keeping for me ever since she read it, so I will be borrowing that one at some stage to read, and at some point after that I will likely read the 3rd book, as long as I've enjoyed the second one. So that's one that I've heard of and I'm interested in. I'm not sure yet whether I'm interested in The It Girl by Ruth Ware. I have read my first Ruth Ware book this year, The Turn of the Key. I thought it was a pretty good thriller. I did enjoy what she did with it. I think I do need to read at least one more Ruth Ware to decide whether she is an author for me, and I don't know if this will be the next one because it's quite new and therefore more tricky to get hold of. The one I most want to read from this category is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. I've yet to try anything by Alice Feeney, but I've heard recently in a couple of places that Daisy Darker is a retelling or a reimagining or influenced by in some way And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, and I'm very interested in reading books that are influenced by Agatha Christie. I'm very interested in the concept of this one. I have ordered this one on Libby and I'm just waiting for my hold to come through, so hopefully that will coincide with me finishing some audiobooks that I need to finish, and therefore I will be able to listen to Daisy Darker quite soon. So next up we're going to look at historical fiction, and in the historical fiction category, not a category I've traditionally been interested in, but I've definitely learnt this year that I do enjoy reading historical fiction. And there are 2 authors in this category who I have really enjoyed previous books from. So the 2 that I really want to read are The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. I recently read Hamnet and absolutely loved it, and prior to that I have read several of Maggie O'Farrell's older works, my favourite being After You'd Gone. Brilliant brilliant book. I think that was her debut novel. So I definitely want to read The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell at some point. And the other author I'm really interested in is Kate Atkinson and her book Shrines of Gaiety. I have read some of Kate Atkinson's historical fiction and I've read some of her crime fiction. And I think that this Shrines of Gaiety probably sounds a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I'm really willing to go anywhere that Kate Atkinson is going to go because I think she is a great writer. So that one will be on my priority list from this category. There are definitely books in this category that my friends have absolutely raved about, such as Young Mungo by Douglas Stewart, and my mum actually really enjoyed Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Agamas, which I know is also nominated in the debut novel category. My friend Gemma from Gemma Books has recently been raving about Violetta by Isabel Allende. So lots to choose from in that category, historical fiction. Let's have a look at science fiction because I know there's a book in here I really want to read. There's two books that are on my most wanted list in this category and one book that I may at some point get to, which is Upgrade by Blake Crouch. I really enjoyed Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, but I've never read another book by him. So this isn't a high priority book that I really want to get to, but I would be interested to get to it if I came upon a copy. The two books that I really want to read are How High We Go in the Dark. I do apologise if I get this name wrong, by Sequoia Nagamatsu. How High We Go in the Dark has just frequently been rave reviewed about, and some of the key words about this book are just absolute catnip to me. I'm sure they were apocalyptic words. You know that out of science fiction I most love like an apocalyptic dystopian type fiction, and this says it's for fans of Cloud Atlas and Station 11. Haven't read Cloud Atlas, but I loved Station 11. Yeah, it's a debut that is supposed to be very exciting and sounds very out there, so it sounds like a me book. The other one that is very out there, which I'd love to get to very soon, which is Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel, the author of Station 11, as just mentioned. So I very much want to get to this, and it's on my high priority list, even more so because I already own a copy. Yay! Those are my two top priorities from science fiction. A quick look at horror, because there is one book in the horror category that I've had highly recommended to me and I really am very interested in reading, and that is Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. Again, this was sold to me by Gemma from Gemma Books. If you haven't checked out her channel yet, she has some great recommendations and she constantly gives me the FOMO, and I have to read books that I might not otherwise have read, but she has had a very high success rate with me. Many of the books she's recommended have been absolute favourites of the year. So definitely check out Gem's channel. And recently she has raved about Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. So this would be my pick from the horror category. I believe this is about a marine biologist who goes away on an expedition under the sea, I think. And when she comes back, her wife believes that she is changed and different. And I love this concept because I think this is a concept that was done really well in a book I really liked, which was Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, that also has the theme of a loved one coming back from somewhere changed. And I love that type of horror. I think it's excellent. So I will definitely be getting to Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. Right, the penultimate category that I'm going to look at is graphic novels and comics. And you can see here I have voted for Heartstopper Volume 4, mainly because that's the only one that I have read in the whole prize. But I am getting very fond of graphic novels and comics. I always have had a fondness for comics, but graphic novels I'm really into at the moment. I would love you to give me your recommendations in the comments down below if you're a person who reads graphic novels often. I am really looking for lots of recommendations for this at the moment. I mean, everything in this category looks really interesting. Basically, in this category, I just wouldn't know where to start. So please, if you have read one of these graphic novels or comics from 2022 and you'd like to recommend it to me, please do let me know in the comments. So the final category I'm going to look at is the category I think I've read the most books from now, from last year's, and that is debut novel. There are lots of wonderful debut novels in this category, and many of them have already been listed onto my priority list that I've made in this video. So Our Wives Under the Sea, obviously I've just mentioned, I would definitely like to try that. How High We Go in the Dark is another high priority for me. I'm interested in Lessons in Chemistry, but I'm not sure if it's a me book. We will have to see, but I undoubtedly probably will get to that. Night Crawling, as I've said, I do have the audiobook of, and I will be getting to that soon. I think that's all for that category, and I think that's all for the video. I appreciate that this has been a very uninformed look at the Goodreads Book Choice Awards for 2022, but I thought I would have a look at it and make myself a priority list of books to read. If you disagree with my list, if there are books you would give higher priority to, please do let me know, and I will endeavour to put them on my list or read them if they sound appealing to me. As we can see, although I have made progress this year and read 9 books published this year, I am still not a person who reads a lot of newly published books. So, do I want to fix that? I'm not really sure that I do. There are definitely a lot of books from this year and from last year that I still want to read, but I am quite content in the balance that I have between reading new books and reading old books from my TBR. I definitely need to get my TBR down a lot further before I can start getting to lots and lots of new releases. I expect the time of year next year where I will get to probably a lot of newer books will be Women's Prize time, because I'm definitely interested in that prize again. So do let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thanks for listening to my pretty rambly video about this prize, and I do hope you will join me again soon for another video all about books here on Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Bye for now.